This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Lee Rosen and Ned Days cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Here's Lee Rosen.
It's good to be with you today from Shanghai, China. People often say that China is like living 10 years in the future, but with prices from 10 years in the past. And I'll tell you, I can't argue with that. The infrastructure here is phenomenal. The airports, the train stations, the metro systems, the buses, the streets, even the sidewalks are on a whole different level than what I'm used to. The shopping malls are sleek. The restaurants are fantastic. The energy in the streets, it's vibrant. The parks are alive with people, many of them literally dancing in the park. And everywhere you turn, technology is woven into daily life. Everything is managed from your phone, whether it's ordering food for delivery or booking a flight or sitting down at a restaurant to order or to pay or waiting for a table in a restaurant. It's all just integrated seamlessly into your mobile device. If you're buying tickets to museums or events or paying for anything at all, there is no cash, there are no ticket booths. You just have your phone. It does everything, and it makes everything feel streamlined and efficient. It really does feel like living in the future. And those prices, yeah, they are from 10 years ago. It's true. Things are remarkably affordable, and it's really easy to live a high quality life here at a reasonable cost. We're going to be leaving Shanghai this week, but I promise you this, we'll be back. There is something special about this place. It's a glimpse of the future wrapped in warmth and community. It's a very pleasant place. I'm already looking forward to the next visit.
It's time for your tech tip. The older I get, the more I cling to the few differences that remain between the generations that came before and me, in a futile attempt to convince myself that I am still young and hip. Whenever I hear kids, and by kids I mean people under 30, talk about millennials as though we are a bunch of corny old folks, I tell them that they're wrong, tuck my chain wallet back into my cargo shorts, and then leave the scene on rollerblades. So I don't want anyone to think that I am speaking ill of him or her just because of age, but one of the communication gulfs that still exists between my cohort and older ones is calling versus texting. To be fair, this doesn't break down entirely along generational lines, but I think that having grown up with access to email, asynchronous methods of communication that allow us to respond and engage on our own schedules are much more pleasant. I think we all know the feeling of getting that dreaded and cryptic "call me" text, which ends up just being some benign question that could have easily been answered with a thumbs up emoji. Demanding human interaction without giving me at least an hour's notice so that I can psych myself up and try to appear normal is just downright cruel. So if you tend to live more in your messaging apps than anywhere else, it's worth knowing that you can do a lot more than leave those important conversations unread. There's a service I've been playing around with that delivers daily news digests to your iMessage account. It's called Blink, and you can find it at blinkdaily.com. Blink works inside of iMessage, so it's iOS and macOS only, and it uses some extra functionality provided under Apple's Messages for Business program. You may have encountered this with some other services available in iMessage, like those from Best Buy, T-Mobile, American Express, and others. Apple is very cagey about what it costs to set this up and who exactly they will let use it, but you can apply on their site, and it provides the ability to book appointments, make payments, and more inside of iMessage. But back to Blink. When you sign up, you will be dropped into an iMessage conversation with the Blink chatbot and give it a few details like your name and location so that it can tailor the news updates accordingly. You can pick some general categories for which you would like to receive updates like business, technology, sports, and politics, as well as adding your own keywords you would like to watch for headlines. You can then pick a time of day and Blink will deliver your daily update at, or more likely around, that time. Tap the update and you get a scrollable list of headlines and stories. If you select one, you will get bullet points delivered right inside iMessage, as well as a link to the Google News search results from which the update was created. Overall, I found it pretty interesting. As I alluded to, you might not get your update at the time you specified. That's kind of hit or miss. And I decided to dig a little deeper on a headline about the last ship of famed Arctic explorer Ernest Shackleton being found off the coast of Canada, only to realize that the discovery happened about 6 months prior, and the last Google News headline about it was about 2 months prior. Political and finance news seems to be more current, but it's worth keeping in mind that some more general interest stuff might not be. But all in all, it's an interesting way to get the news delivered, and while it's not for most law firms, interacting with Apple's Messages for Business might give you some interesting ideas on how to address interactions via SMS and messaging platforms going forward. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip.
And now for your moment of concise advice. Social media as a marketing tactic. Let's talk about it for a minute. If you are doing it and trying to stay safe with your social media posts, then you've already lost that particular game. Social media, it just isn't about fitting in. It is about standing out. It's about separating yourself from the competition. If the posts that you're putting up on social media, if they feel safe, then they're not going anywhere. They're just disappearing into the void. The internet, it just does not reward the timid. Either you grab attention or you fade into the background, because nobody engages with vanilla, boring content. If you think that your professional post is doing you any favors, then think again. Being professional, it just equates with being boring. Your posts are just floating out there in an ocean of white noise. Your post just disappears. People only pay attention when something hits them, when it hits them hard, when it challenges them or entertains them, or at the very least makes them pause and say, wait, what? That's the only stuff they notice. And being noticed, that's what it's all about. And I'm just sorry to say, but social media, it's not the place for the overly cautious, and way too many lawyers are overly cautious. Social media, it's the Wild West out there, and you need to be a gunslinger with the quickest draw. That means you've got to be bold and funny and edgy and maybe even a little outrageous. You've got to be willing to step right up to the line and sometimes over the line. A post that's predictable, it's a post that is invisible. And guess what? It's easier than ever now to be outrageous or funny or even contrarian. With all these new AI tools, you've got a whole playground at your fingertips. You can take your creativity and amplify it. If you've ever thought, I'm not creative enough, well, that excuse simply doesn't fly anymore. Just to prove it, here's a little something that I whipped up with AI. I was using ChatGPT, and I did it in seconds. It's a poem about a lawyer who's too afraid to make waves online. This is a poem by me and ChatGPT. I'm a lawyer who sticks to the rules. My posts as safe as Sunday schools. But safe doesn't sell and safe doesn't lead. It's time to be bold. It's time to exceed. Forget the fear. Let the humor play. That's the way to keep blandness at bay. You see, if AI can help you create something like that in 10 seconds, well, imagine what you could do with a little bit of effort on your part, with a little bit of creativity. It's time to let go of the fear. It's time to stand out. Now, I get it. I understand. The thought of stepping out on that ledge, it can be terrifying. Maybe you're worried about ruffling feathers or damaging your image or embarrassing yourself. Fine. If you're not ready to be bold, then just accept that it's going to take you a lot longer to see any results on social media. You're going to have to rely on pure grinding persistence, and realistically, even then, that may just not be enough. You know, there's a place for educating your audience, and it's helpful, sure, but let's be honest, education, that sort of approach to social media, it's slow. It takes ages to build momentum through purely educational posts, and you'll need to be consistent. You'll need to be relentless. You can never slow down. You can never take your foot off the gas. You're fighting for attention in a space that's overcrowded with voices that are all saying similar things. Education can work, but it is a long, tough, slow path. Meanwhile, the people who stand out in that universe, who are jumping ahead of the line, they are the ones who make you laugh, or who make you mad, or who say the thing that everyone else is simply too afraid to say. If you want to be that person, if you want to make a real impact, well, then it's time to stop blending in and to start standing out. You can't be afraid to be a little loud, a little different, a little more you. So here's the deal. Social media, it rewards the bold. If you're too scared to take a strong stance, then I encourage you not to bother wasting your time. Stick to other approaches to marketing. There are plenty of them, but if you're willing to push yourself out of your comfort zone, if you're willing to make a statement, to be memorable, to even risk a little embarrassment, well, that's when people are going to start paying attention. That's how you get noticed. That's how you build an audience. That's how you create a presence that people can't ignore. Either you go big or you go unnoticed. The choice here is yours, and that's your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Shanghai, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and Ned today. We hope you have a great weekend and an even better week next week. Keep plugging away, moving forward, and getting things done. You're on the right track. You'll get there, I promise. We're all in this together, and together we build better practices through better marketing, better management, and better technology. Until next time, I'm Lee Rosen.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of lawyers focused on working on, instead of in, their practices. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your firm. Sign up for free at roseninstitute.com.